Hi, everyone. My name is Lisa Malachevsky. I'm the event marketing manager here at ControlUp. Welcome to today's webinar. We have Yevgeny Tyushin, Rhyme, I'm going to let him say his last name, and Sam Legrand. And we're just going to wait a couple more minutes for the rest of you guys to hop on. Thanks for joining.
Hey guys, Evgeny here. So I see that people are still joining the conference, so we'll wait for another minute for the late arrivals and then we'll start. While we're waiting, guys, please prove that you can see my screen and that you can hear me well. So just write down in the GoToWebinar chat that you can see the screen that I'm sharing and that you can hear my voice well. Thank you. Okay, we're going to go ahead and start. So before we start with the introduction and the PowerPoint presentation and the demo, a few housekeeping rules. First and foremost, there were a couple of people that asked in the chat about US dial-in number. So Lisa just shared that with you in the chat. So you're welcome to go to the GoToWebinar chat dialog and look for that if you need to dial in. So that's one thing. Second, if you've got any question whatsoever about the content that we're sharing or any other content related to ControlUp or what we're speaking about, feel free to write during this webinar in the GoToWebinar chat. And we've got Sam and Raim ready to address the questions and answer them in parallel to the demonstration. So feel free to ask any questions. Don't wait for the end. That's in regards to that. This webinar is being recorded and will be sent to you your emails later this week, so you'll be able to share that with your colleagues or listen in your own convenience. And let's get going, guys. So first of all, thank you very much for joining us today. We are ControlUp. And we'll start with a quick introduction. My name is Yevgeny. I'm the head of the pre-sales team in APAC and EMEA in ControlUp. I've been working in the IT and end-user computing world in the past 10 years with multiple enterprises and SMB companies worldwide. Together with me, we have some new face in the ControlUp webinar realm, which is Raim, and he's going to share with us a customer story. So Raim, can you please introduce yourself?
Yeah, my name is Raim Kornelijnslijper. I'm working in Citrix-related products around 20 years. I'm currently team leader at Visolit, which is one of the biggest Citrix CSPs in Scandinavia. We have around, I think, 500 to 600 farms, and we have managing around 45,000 concurrent user sessions in Citrix.
Thanks, Raim, and we'll get back to you at the end of this presentation to hear your story with ControlUp. Sam, can you present yourself?
Hi everyone, my name is Samuel. I'm a Citrix CDP for 4 years now, and I'm responsible of French pre-sales at ControlUp. So thank you for joining, and I'm talking soon.
Thank you, Sam. We'll get back to you in around 20 minutes. So guys, let's start with this show. We'll start with a quick PowerPoint presentation. We don't like PowerPoints too much here in ControlUp, but let's share a little bit about the company's history and where we're at today. So ControlUp, if you haven't heard of our story, ControlUp started from a Citrix virtualization service provider in Israel, and the solution grew from an internal need of the professional services guys and the customers to have better troubleshooting, better management of the infrastructure. This solution that was called ControlUp and still is, grew to be a huge player in the IT and end-user computing world to date. We've got around more than 1,000 customers with offices in the US, Europe, and Israel, and partnerships with the vendors that you see in the top of the screen, like Microsoft, VMware, NVIDIA, Citrix, and Nutanix, who integrate our solution into their stack. Regarding customers from so many large brands work with us, you can take a minute to absorb and look for these brands. So customers like Nike and PayPal, Verizon Wireless, AT&T, Visolit, who is, as Ray mentioned, one of the largest Citrix customers in Europe and, of course, in the world. We're going to hear their story today. And that's some of the 1,000 plus customers that we've got today. Our solution, and this is something that is important to mention for today's webinar, our solution was born right out of the bat with a pretty innovative architecture, which is called hybrid cloud. Our solution is a SaaS solution, not your traditional IT solution, where all you need to deploy or install in your infrastructure is a console, small UI, which you connect to your infrastructure, and that's it. So as today, people and IT admins or VDI admins do not have much time for new projects, for new installations, or trying out new solutions, because it's usually a tedious task to deploy application servers and database servers and passwords and opening ports. We don't need all of that. It's a SaaS solution where all you need is one virtual machine. You connect to all the layers of the infrastructure which you would like to manage and monitor, whether it's your VDI platform, whether it's your virtualization layer, any virtual machine, any physical machine, Citrix NetScalers, end user computing platforms, and all of that will be managed and monitored in this console. You do not need to allocate any application servers or database servers. All of that is located in our cloud, in our AWS cluster, and that's it. So one of the challenges that we face today in this kind of Corona era or Corona time is that IT admins do not have time or do not want to hear about new products because of the evaluation process. And this is something that we've solved 10 years ago already with kind of our cloud-first technology. Of course, for customers who would like to have everything on-prem because of different security restrictions, etc., we've got a full on-premises solution that can do exactly the same. So that's a bit about the architecture. What we came to talk about today, and to show you how ControlUp can assist you with, is a couple of end-user computing and IT operations challenges that we learned in the past month that you guys face, and again, how we can address them with the ControlUp solution. So we are going to talk about two challenges today. Of course, you guys have many of them, but we're going to talk about two that rose and became stronger in the past month. So the main reason for those challenges is that many of your workforce, let's say 90% or even 100% of your end users, went from working from the office to remote work, to working from home. And that became quite a challenge in two aspects. One is visibility and troubleshooting of those of the platforms that are hosting those users and this infrastructure. What do I mean by that? You guys, as admins, manage multiple technologies, whether it's your virtualization layer, your virtual or physical machines, your end users, your business applications, storage, network, and much more. And to be able to manage all of that in one place, this is something that kind of either becomes a slow process or an impossible mission. That became even harder today because you guys, as the IT team or the VDI team, do not sit in the same room. You cannot hop to the next room to ask a question. So everyone are working from home, so you are dependent on the VPN or dependent on multiple consoles. And that makes the troubleshooting process very slow and, as I said, even a mission impossible. This is a challenge that we would like to help you with, and I would like to pull up the ControlUp console and to share how we can address that. So a quick introduction of ControlUp, if you are seeing that for the first time or you need a quick refreshment. ControlUp is divided into two interfaces, the real-time management console that you see in front of you right now, and the ControlUp Insights, which is our historical interface that Sam is going to touch on in the second half of today's demonstration. So regarding the unified visibility and the troubleshooting of the infrastructure, ControlUp can connect, as you can see here in the upper left side of the ribbon, to all the data sources that matter to you, whether it's your virtualization layer with any technology, whether it's VMware ES6 or SenseWare by Citrix, Hyper-V by Microsoft, or Nutanix Acropolis. All we need is a read-only user and start getting metrics from the virtualization layer. We can connect to your virtual machines or VDI machines, physical machines, whatever you would like to look at. Your Linux machines, we can connect, of course, natively to your end user computing platform whether you are running Citrix, XenApp, or Desktop, whether you are running Vim or Horizon, we can integrate with that and bring data from your EUC platform. If you are a Citrix customer, which I'm sure many of you are, you most probably using NetScaler for your gateways or your load balancing. And of course, we can complete your picture with connection to your NetScaler. And that way, by connecting to all of those layers, we will bring you a unified grid, a real-time unified grid of all of those layers with the ability to manage and troubleshoot them. So you can see your hosts, you can see your machines, you can see all of your user sessions and what's going on for them. That again, this has becomes very important right now, because in one unified grid, you'll be able to see all the data in regards to your users' resource consumption, your users' user experience, your users' network metrics and data, and your users' data coming from the end user computing platform. So first and foremost, you can start, blaming each other, whether it's a network problem or is it a resources issue or is it a storage issue. You can see everything where the bottlenecks are. The next one will be the processes. You can see all of your business applications, whether they are up and running, whether they are underperforming or overperforming. You can see all of that in real time. NetScaler storage, all of that is available as well. And of course, besides the unified visibility part of that, you can also troubleshoot. We all understand and we all know that if you are managing an end user computing layer, all of those layers are interconnected. So if I've got a problem in one of those layers, it will affect my end user's performance and will cause sluggishness or slowness. So let's take a look at one example. Let's imagine that I've got an ES6 environment, a VMware environment, but that all relates to any other virtualization layer. And I've got a critical stress level on one of my hosts. The stress level column, this column over here, which appears in every of the layers, this is the end result of the troubleshooting process. I can see clearly, and I don't need to scroll to the left or to the right to look at all the metrics. I can see right away where the problem is. So I can click on that and understand why the CS6 is in a critical stress level. In this case, it's the IOPS that is pretty firing and pretty bad state. And I can use, again, I don't need to think too much. I can use the ControlUp Virtual Expert, which will assist me and will suggest where to go and what to do in order to fix this problem. So not just look at the problem, but also fixing and troubleshooting that into the root cause of the issue. So let's go to the machines that ControlUp suggests me to do and filter on the virtual IOPS. Here I can see all the guests that are running on this host, all the virtual machines that are running on ES6.2, and I can see clearly which one that is the one that is causing me the issue. I can switch to the data stores and I can see which storage data store is causing me the problem as well. Already over here, I can right-click, and here it becomes pretty interesting. I can right-click and I can start fixing the problem. So ControlUp has a built-in mechanism of actions and script actions for troubleshooting and problem solving. But let's drill a bit further. So let's go to the sessions and see which user sessions. And here is a very classic kind of end user computing scenario. We've got 3 users. One of them is the annoying Sam, who are running on this machine, and one of them is doing something, and I can see pretty clearly, this is a new feature in ControlUp, I can see pretty clearly which application is running there that is causing the high IOPS on the entire host. And while I can right-click here and I can get the actual and relevant actions and scripts for the user sessions, I can even drill further and see the actual application, the actual process, which is causing the high IOPS on the entire host, and click on the problem. And not only that I can get an explanation explaining me what's going on here. So even tier 1 support personnel can understand what's going on without escalating to the second line. I can even get built-in scripts to execute in order to fix this problem. So in one unified solution, you can get both the troubleshooting for all those layers in real time, in an every 3 seconds interval, together with the ability to take actions and fix those problems. So that will address the first half of today's challenges. But let's talk about another challenge, which is even more important. So as most of our workforce went from working in the branches or in the offices or inside of our LAN to work from their remote locations, we got a couple of another challenge of resources allocation, resources assessment. So we need to put more users on the same VDI platform, on the same resources. We need to control our bandwidth even more. So we are much more dependent on our bandwidth because we rely on the VPN. We rely on Wi-Fi instead of working from the local network. We need to ensure that the business critical applications are firing and are working well and have a good user experience. So we need to prioritize them, and we need to make sure that our resources are optimized. How ControlUp can address that? In a very simple way, with a new feature that we introduced last year called ControlUp Automation. So the ControlUp Automation takes two of the features that I currently presented, our ability to monitor and to look into those layers in real time, together with the ControlUp's ability to execute actions and scripts on those entities inside of those layers. So we connected these two abilities together using the ControlUp triggers mechanism, and we can start executing automation and optimization scripts on top of the entire infrastructure to help tackle and solve those challenges. So we're going to show today 3 use cases. One of them will address the prioritization and the optimization of business applications, business critical applications. The second will address the resources on the entire infrastructure. And the third one will address the network and how we can control the bandwidth to allocate good bandwidth for business applications versus lesser bandwidth for non-business critical applications. So let's start with the business applications and their user experience. So all of those automated actions, all of those optimizations that I'm going to show you today are built in within the product. As we said at the beginning, ControlUp is an agile solution, where we understand that you guys not always have the time to write scripts and create those automation scenarios in-house. So with our expertise, we created those scenarios, and they are built in and out of the box with the solution. So all you need to do is check those checkboxes. If you are an existing customer listening to this webinar today, all you need to do is to go to your console, press on the triggers, check one of those checkboxes that is relevant to you, and it will be enabled and the automation will start running. So the first one will be optimize user experience for business application. Let's just show how it works. So basically, it's a very simple wizard which determines that if an application has a slow user input delay. User input delay is a unique column where we measure the response time of an application inside of the user session. So we take this metric from the guest or from the machine itself, and we measure the response time of application to the user. It's very similar to the Citrix round trip time or latency, but it's inside of the session. And we determine that our business application will be Acrobat Reader, but of course you can edit that and change it to whatever is critical for you guys, whether it's a healthcare application or Photoshop or a web application, whatever you'd like to put here. And if that happens, we will set the process priority to above normal, meaning we'll give this application more resources inside of the guest, so it will work faster. Let's look at that in real time. So we will put ControlUp on one side of the screen. We will open a session. So I've opened a terminal server, an RDS session, which is equivalent to a XenApp session in Citrix or an RDSH session in vMware Horizon, or whatever. It can work on a physical PC or a Linux machine, whatever you'd like to manage. So let's drill to this machine. Let's find this machine. This is my machine. Drill into the sessions. We've got 6 user sessions running here. One of them is myself, and let's find Acrobat Reader. Okay, so I want you to take a look, guys, on the priority column versus the user input delay column. And let's start working here. So you'll see how I'm working with this. I'm designing an engine here, or a carburetor, whatever you would like to call it. And you can see the user input delay spikes. It jumps to 4 seconds of response time. And because of that, triggered automation will fire, will give priority to this business application. The priority will jump using the ControlUp automation in a couple of seconds from being normal to above normal. So that happens right now. There you go. So the automation kicked in, gave this business critical application more resources. So now if I'll start working with that, it works much faster and the response time is much better. And I didn't need to do anything. I didn't need to touch the screen. It happened automatically. So this is one aspect of that. A second aspect, and not less important, will be prioritization of all the resources. So a couple of other built-in prioritization triggers we've got in the solution will be optimizing and prioritizing the resources for an entire session. And how do we do that? We determine, we see, and we monitor the state of the current session and whether it's active or whether it's been idle for a certain amount of time. We will drop the resources priority and we'll drop the memory consumption of this user. So let's see how it goes. Let's disconnect this session. So this user, it's 5 o'clock or 6 o'clock, and this user went home or stopped working. And look at the priority column, and you will see how the priority column of this disconnected session will drop now from being normal to below normal, and the memory consumption of the processes inside of the user session will drop to 0. Also see that happening in, there you go. Okay, that means two things. One, all the other users, and this is a very classic end user computing scenario, all the other 5 users on this machine just became a bit more just have a bit more resources. So they are enjoying more resources and a better user experience thanks to this prioritization of resources. Another thing, which is even more important, this machine just became 20% more dense. According to our statistics, this prioritization of resources and this optimization that frees up memory and frees up CPU on the VM makes this machine more dense. What do I mean by that? You can put now more users on the same VDI platform. So if you need more VDI, you don't need to add more virtual machines to host the users. You can use the same platform and to push more users using this resources prioritization. So these are the use cases that I wanted to show you. I will hand the stage to Sam, which is going to show you one of the most critical aspects for today's era, and this is network and bandwidth management. Sam, the floor is yours.
Thank you. So I'm going to share my screen. If you stop your sharing, please. Perfect. Here we go. Show my screen. Perfect. Here we are. Oop. So, yes, like Evgeny told you, we are trying to get more with what you have right now. So one of the things that is very hard to add is bandwidth, because it's easy to add more RAM or more CPU, but bandwidth, internet connectivity is quite hard to raise. So here is a setup I would like to show you. This is a Windows 10 VM. It's running Blast, I installed it on it a remote display analyzer. It's a community tool that help you to see live the number of frames per second, the bandwidth usage for the encoder, and everything live. And we also have the same information inside ControlUp because we have the same data. The good thing I would like to show you is we are going to, as Evgeny already shows you some triggers, I'm going to show two of mine. So I create two triggers. The first one is webinar SAM reduce bandwidth YouTube. And we are going to use one of the features that Evgeny shows you in the session level. So at the session level, we are looking at the active application. And for active application, if it's Chrome, i.e. if it's a browser or Firefox or whatever, if it's a internet browser, you will be able to see the active URL. So for this specific use case, I'm going to look at if the user is connected to a website using YouTube inside the URL of where it is connected. So I'm going to wait 20 seconds. And after 20 seconds, I'm going for this specific scope, so only Windows 10 floating desktops. And for a schedule that is set to all days, I will run an action and it will launch a script that reduces the bandwidth usage. What do we mean by reduce bandwidth? Is that we are going to lower down the number of frames per second. And we are going to wait 1 minute before repeating if it occurs. So I put a nice name on it. I didn't took time to put a description, but it should work. So that's the first one. The second one is about giving back the normal behavior of a user session. So this is reset bandwidth. Let's look at it. So basically, I'm switching back if the active application is one of the business application I have. So again, we are using Acrobat Reader, but we can make the one that you want. We are waiting only 3 seconds at time. The same scope, the same schedule, and we are running the opposite script, which reset the number of FPS to the default. Yeah, let's try to make it live now. And we are going to put this here. So this is the session I'm going to use to show you that I'm using the right VM. I'm going to launch a process. Let's launch a calc. Boom. After a few seconds, boom, the calculator is there. So we are in the right session and we are monitoring the right VM. So perfect. Let's try to make it smooth. So I want you to focus on the number of frames per second and the bandwidth last column. So these two columns are showing the number of frames per second that is currently used by the session, and the bandwidth consumed by the session. So that's a pretty important thing. Let's go to Google Chrome. Let's try to go to YouTube. I have my favorite video, which is a rotor. I will put it on the loop mode and full screen. So you can see that the number of frames per second is pretty high, 20, 25, going up. The bandwidth used is around 1 meg.5. And after at least 20 seconds right now, boom, the YouTube video start to slow down. So we limited the number of frames per second here to 4, here as well, and the bandwidth is now much lower than before. So in few seconds, we detected that the user was not in a productive application. Let's think about e-learning, for example. If you have people working from home and need to take a training, an e-learning course, and yeah, you lower down the image quality, but it's still in sync. As you can hear the beep that is annoying everyone, I guess. We are still in sync, so you can follow an e-learning, for example. And now we are going to close this super video. and I'm going to launch a business application. So the business application, we said that this was Acrobat Reader. And only after a few seconds, we should be able to see that we can go to more than 4. So here we are still stuck at 4, and let's scroll down. And here we are. We are like 23, 25, and this is it. So we are consuming more bandwidth because we detected that this application was critical for the business. So that's a pretty unique thing that you can do, is that prioritize the application inside the session. So it's not about giving the whole session a lower quality. It's just because you detected that it was a YouTube video that is not important for your business, and you lower down the quality. So that's pretty, I guess it's pretty interesting. Now it's time to switch. We talk a lot about real-time analysis and diagnostics, and now we are going to show you some interesting things about reporting. So I'm going to log on inside Insights. So this is my email address, my password, boom. And here we are. So I'm going to show you only 3 reports that are really relevant for today's crisis. The first one is Top Insights. So that's the first thing that you will see when you connect to Insights. This is a AI and machine learning dashboard. It mainly describes you what happened yesterday. So that's pretty interesting to see. But for example, that for an average Monday, the CPU was way higher than usual. So the application learns about trends and about how your infrastructure reacts, and can gives you some insights about what's going on, what was wrong, or what was different compared to usual. So that's the first thing that we will see. The second one is application. So here you can see that some applications start to consume CPU in an abnormal way. For example, McAfee Shield, that's the antivirus with a version here, consume 26% of CPU. And this one start to consume almost 100% of CPU. That's very interesting to know that it's not the normal behavior, and you need to focus on this to see if there is any issue. And we have a lot of customers that are using these reports to see what was wrong yesterday to fix today's issues. So pretty nice. Let's move on another one about sizing recommendation. As you may have heard, we have a lot of people connecting from home right now, and you may need to add some RAM or CPU to some machine. And the good thing is that we are covering you in this report. So it's a sizing recommendation report, and you can see that, for example, if I order this by this column, CPU recommendation, this VM is just way too oversized. And as you can see, we are giving you amounts of data of CPU usage, and the maximum was 6% of CPU. So actually the VMs got 16 CPU, and the machine learning process detect that with 3 of them, it will be more than enough, because you will be at this level. And today's will be sometimes in the other way. Let's take this one. This is a VM. This is an Hyper-V actually. And you see that it was not used almost. And from this day to this one, we start to use a lot of it. And the RAM is like at a higher level. So the machine learning process detect that you need to add 12 gigs of RAM on this. So that's a pretty nice way to give resources where they are needed, actually. So you can remove resources where they are not needed, and we assign them to real use cases. That's the second one. And the one I want to show you is the session activity report. We talked a lot about people working from home. Sometimes bandwidth is an issue, and sometimes latency is a huge issue. So let's try to find a session. Let's mine, Perfect. So this is a session, this is a report. So it's going to create a Gantt diagram here where you will see what I've done during this session. You will have the username, the logon duration, when I'm logged on, how many time it took for GPU processing, desktop load time, on everything that you need to know about this specific session. And then it will create this Gantt, and you will have here the usage, the CPU usage, RAM utilization, and then here we go. We have the protocol latency. So this one, I guess it's an ICA session. Yeah, it's an ICA session. So the ICA protocol has been monitored, and we get that the average latency was quite good here, and it goes sky high here, like up to 4 seconds. And you can see that my bandwidth, so I was disconnecting from here to here. So I start to work back at 5 p.m. and my network bandwidth was really low here. So I was at like 3 megs of available bandwidth. So that's a nice way to see if your problem, if a user says, oh, that was a mess at 6 p.m., you just go there, you looked and say, hey, maybe you launch a Netflix video, and yeah, you didn't have enough bandwidth to work on your Citrix session. So that's a pretty nice things to do. So you can follow the user from where he was connected, which IP address he was on. Maybe when he reconnect, it was not the same IP, so he changed his wireless access point, and the second one was not good enough. So you can track what's going on the client side without any agent on the client side. This is it for me. I think now we are going to listen to our happy customer, Raim.
Yep. Yeah, my name is Raim Konijnslijper. I work for Visolit. We are an CSP in Scandinavia. We have around 500 customers, and we are monitoring around 650 farms with ControlUp. Today we monitor Citrix ZenApp, Zen Desktop, Horizon, and we're also monitoring some Azure workloads. One of the reasons why we have started with ControlUp is that before we had a monitoring solutions, our support desk or help desk was doing a lot of switching between customers. We have around 150 help desk agents supporting our customers, and what they would do is they get a random call from a Citrix user, and they take the call, they look on the try to find the right credentials for a specific customer. They need to log in, open App Center or open Director, find the right terminal server, and for instance log over user or troubleshoot the user. And we did some calculations that for each call it took an agent around 8 minutes from start to end to assist our customers. We thought that was a lot of time, and we were looking for a better way to monitor and solve our Citrix problems. So we tried easy innovations, we tried Horizon, and we tried Goliath, and we tried ControlUp, and we stick with ControlUp because the installation was actually really easy, and because we could use the real-time console and the combination of all the dashboards, all the Citrix customers in one dashboard, that would change our effectiveness in troubleshooting and finding a customer-specific server or customer name, for instance, very fast. And within very fast, I mean that if one of our help desk agents has their dashboard, real-time dashboard open, it just has to literally type in the name, like Yevgeny already showed you the real-time console. On the right top, you can type a name, and then you find the username, and automatically you will see then the user session, and you can determine what is the problem with the specific user. One of the big benefits for us as service provider was that normally a service desk agent would automatically create a ticket to our second line or our third line, and but because of the scripts we can also run with ControlUp, our escalations went down a lot. And because the service desk could actually, with the scripts, resolve a lot of things themselves. For instance, they could determine what kind of group policies were connected to a user session or be applied to a user session, for instance. Or with a PowerShell script, they could list printers of a user on the phone. And this really helped us to optimize the way our first line worked. They could actually solve a lot of more problems themselves. And a big benefit for us was that our second line and third line had less workload because of these tools. Our ticket resolving time also obviously went down because of this. Last year we purchased the automated actions tools from ControlUp. The automated actions actually really helped us in creating more density on our servers. Like Yevgeny also showed you already, the big benefit for our users is that if a user is idle for an amount of time, the automated action will actually recognize it and throttle down the resources of that idle session, or maybe for a disconnected session in that matter. And that helped us to gain more user density and in the long end save money. Also, we use it to capture unexpected behavior. Like Samuel already showed you that in the insights report, there are some we have a lot of homegrown applications which people in the companies created themselves, and these applications are not necessarily meant to be on Citrix. So what we've seen in the past is that those applications are specifically grabbing a lot of RAM or CPU, even when idle. And with the use of ControlUp, we could easily identify those processes and automatically throttle them with the automated actions tool, which was a really great help for us. And the same for instance, the Internet Explorer, which goes a lot to 25%. We now have created an automated script which automatically throttles down every Internet Explorer, which runs for 25% for 10 minutes. We will throttle it down to 5% for every user in our environment. And like I said, we have like 45,000 users, so you can imagine how many resources we save just by doing this kind of smart things. Another big benefit for us is to give our customers more visibility on what is actually happening in their farm. We are hosting their hypervisors 9 out of 10, but the customer didn't actually know if they were or didn't have really visibility on what actually was happening in our data centers. With the insights reports, we generate now automatic reports to and send them automatically to the customers on any set dates. Normally we send it out to the first Monday of each month to every customer, where we list all the connected users that month, how many applications were used, what the application usage was, what the user experience was, and how many licenses were actually used. And this was really helpful for us as a service provider, because we could actually now also do a little add-on to our service and not just host their Citrix sessions, but also actually give them the reports accompanied by it. And we think that was a really good add-on service to this product. Obviously, we also use insights for questions from services from customers, where they were actually asking from we had bad experience on Monday the 25th. What was wrong? Then with the retention policy, we could really go back to that specific date, specific time, and specific user, and deliver a report to the IT director or whoever was querying what was the problems that day. And we actually resolved some quite some discussions with customers, where we could actually hand over a real-time on the insights reports over a specific day or time, where actually we could prove that Citrix was not the issue, but actually the network on their side was the issue. So that overall we are a very satisfied ControlUp customer, and that's also why I wanted to present my story here today. That was it for me.
Thank you very much, Raim, and thanks, Sam. Guys, we've got 10 more minutes, so we are open for questions, comments, or anything that you would like to us to show, regardless of what we showed today or in relation to what we showed. So you can feel free to write us questions, and this time, so we've been answering questions during this webinar via the GoToWebinar chat box, but we can address the questions and read them out loud if it's relevant to the entire audience, and show the features in ControlUp itself. So feel free to write down anything. Okay, great questions. A question by Brian. So automation, the automation feature, does that require a different level of licensing? It is. You can, of course, reach out to your appropriate account manager, account executive, or CSM, customer success manager, and he will give you all the data about the licensing. Of course, we provide a free trial of 2 weeks with the automation, where you can run some of the stuff that we showed today, or even other automations, and enjoy the tool and evaluate it. So yes. Does the tool gives insight into potential network issues? The answer is yes. So let's take a look at the product. So both in the ControlUp Insight, which shows you the data over time, but also in the ControlUp Management Console, you can see very valuable data like latency, like bandwidth, like round trip time. The user input delay that we showed is more relevant to resources, but also shows you delays in the response time of applications inside of a session. So we've got that running in real time and in overtime. So again, latency, network sent, network received, data. If you are a Citrix customer, so NetScaler are quite an important tool in your toolbox. And we can provide you data about that and bottlenecks in regards to that. Of course, on every entity, whether it's a machine, a session, or a process, if you would like to analyze it a little bit further, in addition to the metrics that we are showing here, you can always complement that with a script, and we've got quite a lot of built-in scripts. Many of them are related to networks. So if you want to troubleshoot latency issues, we've got analyze latency. We've got a couple of scripts for that. And yeah, so that's in regards to your network bottlenecks. Connecting ControlUp Management Console to laptops. So we need port 40705. Okay, that's the port that needs to be open. It's an important question relevant to the entire audience. What is the communication between the layers? So port 40705, it needs to be open between this console, between the VM where this console or the laptop or any other box where this console resides. So from this console to the VMs or physical endpoints or Linux machines, so port 40705 needs to be open with WMI protocol. Okay, great question by Kurt, which I would like to address. Aside from the dashboard, I assume that that's the insights you are talking about. Is there an additional administrator view that we can create canned queries and save that? So you can reach out to our support or to your appropriate CSM, which I'm sure that you're familiar with. So, or either open a ticket to our support, and they're always happy. And we've got customers requesting these kind of canned queries. We can create and assist you with that. So this customization is possible. You can query our insights, especially if you are if you'd like to do that. So we'll be happy to assist you with that. How do you get this EUC view in the console? So I assume that you refer to that. So the question is regarding that EUC view. So that EUC view exists in our 8.1 console. Okay, 8.1 version. This is something that we've added recently. So until the recent versions, we could connect to a Citrix EUC platform, Citrix sites, delivery groups, and brokers. Today we can connect also with Horizon View platforms and soon with other end-user computing platforms. So that's you need to upgrade to 8.1. That's the answer for you. Okay, another question. Is ControlUp app only for VMs or can be installed directly on PCs, Macs, and Android? So the answer is the following. So not only VMs, we can connect to physical endpoints. Again, as long I answer the question of another participant, port 40705 needs to be open between the console and the box that you would like to monitor. So Android devices, unfortunately, not at the moment, maybe in the far future. Mac agents, we are evaluating that, and we'll probably add that to our roadmap pretty soon, Mac devices. PCs, we can monitor them exactly like we monitor a virtual machine, like I showed you in this view. So virtual machines, Linux machines, physical endpoints can be, even IGEL thin clients can be monitored in this view. Another question, will you be allowing access to this recording to review with their teams? For sure, you'll get the recording of this webinar in the later part of this week, and you'll be able to share it with your colleagues for sure. Another question was asked about Linux. The answer is yes, we do support Linux, CentOS, and Red Hat operational systems. So the answer for Linux is yes. Last question for today, and that's a really good question that relevant again for most of the audience here. Do we have best practices documentation for enterprise deployments? The answer is yes, we do. And we've got principal architects working in the ControlUp team to assist you with an enterprise deployment. So yes, John, you can again reach out to either to your ControlUp contact or to ControlUp to support at controlup.com, and we will connect you with our architects and assist you with the deployment. Last question here by Ricardo, and then we will finish for today. Can the insights be used for real-time checking of a problem? So actually the ControlUp Insights, the ControlUp real-time console, what you see in front of you, this dashboard is in a 3-second interval. So you can see here real-time problems. The ControlUp Insights shows you data from 45 minutes back up to a year back or even more. So you can use the ControlUp Insights for troubleshooting a past issue. And here you can see the real-time problems. Guys, our time is up. Thank you very much, Lisa, for arranging this webinar. Thank you, Gil, also for heading this team. Raim, thank you so much for being a panelist here and sharing your stories. Sam, thank you as well. We'll be happy to get more questions, guys. Reach out to us. Stay safe, stay healthy, stay at home, and thank you very much, and see you in our next events and webinars. Thank you, guys, and have a great rest of the day.
Thank you. Bye.